Today's story is going to be told by a 9-year-old kid named Ava. She's from Africa Upsicle community. Hi, I'm Ava and I'm 9 years old and this is my story. Once upon a time there were 3 friends. They were all best friends and they lived in a valley. Now this valley was really hot and it was really dry and there wasn't much water. All the water that they had, they got from a well in the middle of the town. The well had very limited water and so they had to be very careful about how they used it. Now one day the king came to visit and he said, "Hey, I'm thirsty, give me some water." So the people said, "Okay, but we don't have much water. We only have a little bit left in our well." Then the king got very angry and he said, "Well, I'm gonna take all the water for myself then." And so the people had no choice but to watch as the king took all the water for himself and he filled up his jars and he left. And then afterwards, the 3 friends were very sad because now they didn't have any water and they couldn't use the well because the king had put his guards around the well. So they had to find a different way to get water. They looked and they looked, and finally they found a river far away. It was a long walk, but they were so happy because now they could fill up their containers and they could take it back to the village. When they got back to the village and the king saw them with the water, he said, "Hey, where did you get that water?" And they said, "We found a river far away." Then the king got really angry and he said, "Why didn't you tell me about this river? I should be the only one who has water in this kingdom." And they said, "But your majesty, you said that we couldn't use the water from the well anymore because you had taken all of it." Then the king felt a little bit ashamed and he said, "Well, I guess you can use the water from the river, but you have to bring it back here to the palace so that I can use it too." And so they agreed. Every day they would get up early in the morning and they would take all the water from the river back to the palace and then they would share it with everybody in the village. The king learned that even though he had taken all the water from the well, he could still be a good king and share with everybody. The end. That was a great story, Ava. Thank you for sharing that with us. Here's what I want you guys to do. Let's think about the story. Why do you think the king wanted all the water for himself? Do you think he was being a good or a bad king? How do you think the people in the village felt when the king took all the water? And do you think the king felt bad at the end of the story? Why or why not? It is really important that we remember that water is a precious resource, and even though we might take it for granted sometimes, we shouldn't. We should always be aware of how much water we are using and make sure that we are not wasting it. One way we can do this is by turning off the water when we are brushing our teeth or taking a shower. Also, if there's a drought and there isn't much water, we need to listen to our leaders and follow their guidelines. If everyone does their part, then we can make sure that there's enough water for everyone. Water can actually be reused, so the next time you see a puddle, jump right in. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad that you watched till the end. Make sure to like, subscribe and comment down below.